We are at the Charlton Board of Health meeting. All board members are present, as well as Jim Philbrook, Health Director. We also have Gary Magnuson from CMG Environmental. Under the agenda, we have H Foot Road on there. In the audience, we have Jordan, you want to talk something about H Foot Road?
Yes.
We'll start with you.
All right. I just wanted to ask if the board can request from Ty and Bond to do a better job at getting us the completed well tests spreadsheet from Golder Associates.
Okay.
July's we haven't got yet. The last one we got was the last time I asked Mr. Philbrook from September to June. We got that.
Yep.
After a while, but we haven't received July, which is done. I'm sure they've appended it to that spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And August, as we know, most of them are coming in now, so they're not all done yet, but they've already done our September tests, so they'll come in November or October. But every month, it would be, because we had 2 more detections now, one 48, 49 Barry,
Yeah.
49 Berry,
15 Eleanor, who's a new owner.
Yep.
Wasn't aware of a lot of things on there. Barry Wilkinson, right?
Yep.
Contacted me asking what's going on, and I have no idea if people are getting higher detections, if they've been creeping up, if there's more contaminants. Because if there's nothing that they have to report, I have no idea what's there.
Okay.
I have requested that.
Okay.
Emailed directly to Ty and Bond. I haven't made requests to Tracy, and she called me and said that any requests that have Mr. John Jordan's name attached, I have to leave out. I can request it myself, but she will not provide information directly to him. He has to go through his attorney.
So, if this board requests it though,
Anything we request, my problem is I attached his request and forwarded it to Tracy, and she denied it. So I put in a request for myself and sent it back.
Gary, you familiar with what John's talking about?
Absolutely.
So the protocol that they're doing, it sounds like they're about 60 days, 1 month behind or so. Is that normal, or are these guys slacking, in your opinion?
What Mr. Jordan's asking for, they're not required to provide under the MCP.
Okay.
They're required under the MCP to notify the homeowners and the Board of Health within certain timelines. All the emails you see were the 24-hour notice to the
Yeah.
Board of Health. I believe they're complying with those. I believe they're complying with submittal of reports to homeowners on time. In one of the last or the prior IRA report that I reviewed, there was actually an appendix at the back that identified the house, the date it was sampled, the date the lab data came in, the date they notified whoever they had to notify, and then the date the mailings went out. Because DEP said, you need to prove that you're getting these out to the people. So I believe they're doing that. What Mr. Jordan's asking for is a summation of everything sampled over that month, which they kind of include in the IRA status reports,
Okay.
but they include it in a big table, and it's very hard to read. What he's asking for is a shortened summary that's really easy to read. It would be great if the Board of Health had those on a monthly basis, because then your, no disrespect to any staff, your untrained staff could pick up a document and say, 149 Berry Corner Road, August 22nd sampling would be right there in front of them, and they would have all the samplings, where they wouldn't have to go through this document to try to figure it out. So
Okay.
I think it would be relevant to you guys to ask for that. I think it would be great for Jim's staff to be able to, somebody can answer a question without having to go to Jim or contacting me. And they already have that data. So I think it's very reasonable for the board to ask for it.
I guess, so what you're saying though is it's not required, so if they give us a no, it's a no.
What we're asking for is a nice summation of the information. They're only obligated to give the information. And they, in the IRA status report, said they have to give it 60 days or 30 days after data, blah, blah, blah. That information's in there, but it's buried. It's
Right.
hard to find.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think they could say no if they chose to.
Okay. So Jim, you're on it and you already requested it?
It's been a while. I did request it. He has not. He sent me other things, the levels of 1,4 dioxide are getting up there.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what Kevin Dowse called me and said, I'm concerned. then all of a sudden we'll get spikes.
Who's your contact?
I contact Matt Wagner,
Okay,
yeah,
but you said somebody else? Or John, you said somebody else?
Jeff Harps.
Jeff Harps.
No, there was another one. Who'd you say?
Did I say something? No.
Those are the two primary contacts.
Jeff
Oh, I
Harps
said I'd
is
ask
the
Jim.
OSP of record. Matt Wagner's assistant, but Matt Wagner is the one that reports to me every Friday.
Right,
All the reports and then he forward as you get them.
yeah, I get him.
If I have a problem, I call Matt and he's usually pretty good. But I speak to Jeff very seldom.
Who's been doing that, who's done that report for us in the past?
Oh, Golder.
Yes.
So what happens is,
Oh, okay.
Ty and Bond, Golder has an access database spreadsheet or something, I'm not exactly sure what it is. And the way they have it set up, they can click a button and produce any report you want.
Okay.
John has asked for an easy report, he's gotten it before.
Mhm.
Again, I think it would be prudent for this office to have a monthly summation of what was done. It would be great for your staff, because no reason for your staff to dig through 300 pages to try to find
And
an answer.
we do keep that, and when we get all that information, if you get on a computer here, if you look at Time Bond, every single report is done in chronological order,
Oh, yeah.
and we're making sure that's all done. It's too much information,
Mhm.
and it's hard, and that chart would help. The last one they gave us, we do have it, and then I requested the next couple months, but I have not heard from them. I thought I'd give them at least 10 days to see, and it's been about, I think this is the 8th or 9th day, maybe longer. So I will request it again.
Okay.
And even if you got, if they gave it to you every 2 months, with a 2-month update.
Well, he was supposed to.
Yeah, I think he'll do.
Oh,
it's very
I don't
difficult
think
for
so.
him to do.
If I request it directly for the board for purpose of information, he's never said no.
Right.
And he's never asked why. He just said, give him some time. He has it. He just has to get
Put
it
it
out.
together, yeah. If it was somewhat uniform, like monthly or 2-monthly or, 3-month, whatever, but
Yeah.
if we could, and then at least we could say, John, well, John, they're not doing a monthly, but it's a 2-month, process, or, but then at least we'll have an expectation of that in summary to know if it's coming back.
Oh, absolutely. I'll send another email out to him requesting that. It's been a while. I know it's received it because I get confirmation that it's.
Yeah. So who do you send that to, Jeff? Oh, no, Matt Wagner, you said?
Matt Wagner.
Okay.
Yeah.
John?
And the reason why I don't like relying on the IRA status report is because the Julys are done now. They didn't make it into the August report. Now we're not gonna see a report till October. So now there's 4 months when we don't have our July results.
Right.
And who knows what's going on between those 4 months? We have no trend analysis. So getting them monthly is, it's there, they get the material. Golder is creating, and I know Ty and Bond's still doing their own spreadsheet because I get the one with all the blue on it in my results with my false positives I had last month.
Mhm.
So I know they're still doing theirs as well. I guess they're just feeding the data to Golder Associates and they're putting it into the master list, which I can use, is fine. It actually has more in there than Ty and Bond, so I like it better.
Okay.
But yeah, monthly, it's gonna go 4 months now before we see what happened in July.
Right.
Is this an Excel spreadsheet, or is it something else?
I think the one that Time Bond's using is Excel, and I
It's
believe
Excel.
the other one is an Access.
Access database. Yeah, one of them is Access, one's Excel.
But it's still something you can take, manipulate, add to something else, filter.
Or read
look
over.
at-
Well, they give it to us, they generally give it to us, give us a PDF or we don't have access to it. And that's, so generally people don't give that out in that format.
No, they would,
Give it out.
it's read only.
I'd rather not be editable anyway.
Yeah, you don't
No,
have
then
to
there's
just
no,
ask it.
there's no, they can't say, well, it's probably
Yeah,
changed.
I don't want,
There's no way you
I don't want
can-
any accidents to
No,
happen
no.
with stuff getting screwed up,
John, anything else?
so. No, just really don't have an update on what's going on with the water. The markings on the road, everybody sees what's going on, but we really don't know what's going on with the statuses, we don't know
Well,
what.
John, I did give you that paperwork,
This, yep.
yep,
Got
and
that.
that they're sending out to the residents, they looked at and approved, that they're asking the residents to mark down what they think their weather is and stuff, and a time bond, sent it out, I think I forwarded it to John, so, but,
I don't think I got that one.
yeah, had to, well, it wasn't a final copy till now, I had to read it, get the approval, and now they're gonna send it out to the residents.
Okay,
We don't wanna miss anyone,
right.
and certainly, that's what they're trying to do. So my name is on there, if they have questions, they actually put my name on there, Carl's office, if they have questions or anything, so.
Yeah. So I haven't
They're
seen
still
that.
in the engineering phase, obviously. Any idea when construction's gonna begin? Not till spring, I would imagine.
Well, they did secure the property for the pump station.
Yeah, I heard that.
So, Stearns is now moved, they're into where.
That's right, I saw them hauling stuff in there. this
Someone's
past
gonna,
week.
how long before that car was stolen? We got money on it, so. There's a big cow out front.
So there's no longer Stearns down on 169?
No.
That's done. They have enough room up at the?
Yeah, there's a lot of room in it, it's pretty
They
big,
do,
it's very
okay.
big.
All right. And it's downstairs too.
It's downstairs, upstairs, yeah.
Okay.
Big, coolish, huge.
I haven't been in yet, I think the last time.
They only open Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock.
Okay, that's why
I
Just
kinda-
watch out when they shoot, 'cause they go right by you.
I oversaw the transfer of the meat from there to Ted's.
Yeah.
Which, Ted's Plaza, I call it, to make sure it was properly kept at the right temperature. They had a freezer truck coming with everything, so. They were quick.
Yeah, it's not far to drive either.
No, they wanted to throw it in the back of a pickup truck, and I said absolutely not.
Oh my gosh.
That's way back.
Yeah.
The old man.
Yeah.
But,
But,
I used to go pick up all those hauls and all this, shoot them off.
Chairman, can I, while we have Melissa here, can I comment on the odor response? That there's been quite a few complaints about odor.
Yeah,
So
no,
I've been driving through there, and the day that she complained, I was actually up there, and I could smell it.
Mhm.
And they said it was grass clippings, so I responded and said that there's a difference between grass clippings and an odor of trash, and it was definitely trash odor. So I got a response back from Nicole Croto that she knows the difference, and I said I was gonna contact Mary Jo Pigsley, and she said, no, you have to contact Tracy. And I informed her that I don't report to Tracy or anyone, I report, and I will speak to Mary Jo Pigsley about it, because I was there.
Mhm.
Drove up, and this is after, and I can smell it. So I don't know if she's desensitized or whatever, but it's certainly been prevalent. I go up there almost every day that I work, and I smell it.
yeah, I just about fell backwards out of my chair yesterday because there was two of them and both admitted that they were fours. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So, must have been really bad.
I said the same thing to Jim last night. I had an emergency, so I had to leave around 7:30, and I didn't have a chance to call, but I left and I called back to Mark and I said, make a phone call. And he was
Who
not
confirmed
able to do
for
it,
us,
so
yeah. So
It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
I don't know how much longer before the DP does issue that major fine, or,
Did you contact Mary Jo Pigsley?
no, we're formulating the last few, and I'm going to, I did call her, she on vacation, but this was a couple of weeks ago, but I need to speak with her. Because I myself going up and seeing that, it is, the odor's there, it's not, I know grass clippings, I know trash odor, so, something needs to change.
What do you guys think about that?
No, it's definitely, if it's, they have the order. Take care of it.
Well, we've had a problem with the third party odor from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we've always been suspect that it's on the minimal side of the odor. It's always zeros and ones and twos, except for the one day we have a big DEP meeting, that particular day it happened to be up. And Mary Jude smelled it with, she was with somebody that day,
She did.
twice.
And you know what, I think that third party, but when Burton is in Southbridge and they've done lots and lots of work for him, and she's telling me to report to Tracy, how is that working as a third party in the best interest of the residents of Charlton? You know who works in the best interest of the residents is the board and myself. And somehow we need to change something with that odor response, that it needs to be confirmed. You can't just go by one person's word that, I went there and she lives in Wales, and by the time whatever she gets there, that I shouldn't smell anything.
Well, I watched the times, it actually looks like she's there
Sure.
quickly.
Because she's right next to the fire station, so most of the time it's early morning,
Yeah,
and while people are home, and in the evening or whatever, but.
not so much in the weekends, but during the
No.
week, she's usually there within 20,
Landfill's
30
closed,
minutes, but.
And they usually daily cover, so you would normally, but I've been smelling it constantly.
So, I'm wondering if this board should write a letter, nothing fancy, not an attorney's letter, but just a letter, basically from the board, saying that, we've been, you know, Jim, that you've been doing on-site inspections, and they contradict, the report, and in your opinion, and I'd say in your professional opinion, that, there's been several, garbagey odors, not necessarily grass clipping or other odor.
And she did get very defensive when I told her there was a big difference. Respectfully, I think there's a big difference between grass clippings and the foul smell of trash odor. And she said, I think I know by now the difference.
Right.
She got defensive, so.
I like your idea, Matt. I think we should definitely get that out. And I don't know what the timing would be on that, whether you want to talk to Mary June first or just say, oh, by the way, I'm sending a letter out and copying so-and-so.
I think the letter should go out
I do too.
Yeah,
right away.
Right.
I can write this letter tomorrow.
It's
And
something that's
I really
happening.
can,
We
have
just
it come from the board.
have it come from the board and just,
Mhm.
we'll send it to Mary Jude
Yeah.
and just say, we'd like to bring this matter to your attention. The Charlton Board feels as though the odor response logs may not necessarily be accurate.
An accurate reflection of what is actually going on in the neighborhood, because I myself, when I see there's a complaint, if I'm in the area right here, I'll jump in my car, I'll drive around up there and right next to your house, I mean, I was ready to call in a complaint.
Yeah.
I said, no, I can't do that.
No,
I
if
was
you
going-
call them a complaint, it goes right to Mary Jude.
Yeah. I was gonna call and say, listen, this is not,
Not acceptable at all.
not acceptable. You know, sour. It was pretty bad. So, and it's been consistently bad.
Gotta fix it.
The problem I have with it, and it's, if we call in the complaint, but then what?
We even log
Then
in
what?
extra,
Nothing.
and we resend it, even though Mary Jude gets them, we put it in a spreadsheet form, and Andrea updates them weekly and sends it to Mary Jude.
So it's like, okay, you know what? It was a garbage odor, okay? What do you want us to do about it? And then it's like, I don't know.
I know, it's like, if you're committing a crime, you report it to the police, and they know it's a crime, they tell you, but they don't do anything about it.
The misters don't cut it,
Yeah, the mister's not doing it, no. They're in the wrong area.
and they're a nuisance in their own.
Yeah.
So what can we do?
Well, it's up to the DEP to, after we send that letter, to say, okay, you threatened A, B, and C, we'll start with A. They threatened with a large fine. They're making him cap that side, final cover.
When?
I had some deadlines in it. There was
Yeah,
some.
deadlines.
Have you seen any follow-up to that,
No,
what was it actually called? It was notice of
notice
violation.
of violation, notice of non-compliance.
Notice of non-compliance. It had a 60-day, I think it had a 15, a 60, and a 90-day requirement. We've passed.
We passed that. I don't know if they filed for whatever extension, but Kevin, I did get an email from Kevin Dowse today, telling them that they had to extend their, which I talked to Gary about today also. But I don't know, I think that's something we need to, maybe you can reach out to Kevin and ask him.
Well, I think the odor issue,
I'll do the order issue, but I'm talking about that notice of non-compliance.
that came from
That came from.
Mary Jude.
Mary Jude,
Did it
or that
come
came
from-
from,
no.
that came from McQuaid, I think.
Yeah, it did.
So
It came from
we
Quinn.
should, I think,
I can
I
call
think you should
Jim.
just a simple email to McQuaid to say what's the status on this, because there were deadlines.
Well,
He doesn't like to
has-
email Jim Quaid.
Well, I think before we send a letter to McQuaid, we ought to look at the doc and see what those deadlines are and make sure that we're in the right.
Jim and I talked about that when that came out, that we should ask to be, remember we talked about asking to get
Yep.
CC'd on that? I don't think we,
We haven't.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't, believe me, I get CC'd on everything.
Yeah.
Sort of, I make sure, whatever I get, I forward through, and I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen it on that.
Just Kevin today stated that, they're going to
Extend the 500
extend the
foot,
500.
which probably doesn't extend it anywhere.
On 149, 2 houses are involved.
139 and 146 very.
But 150, they still will not provide water.
I know
And
that.
and adamant, dead flat, no.
Me and Gary talked about that.
And I don't know why, if, I have some idea of why, which I won't mention right now, but
Mhm.
I just think it's, you know,
Me too. I think it's something personal, and I don't think it's, has anything to do with
No.
anything other than
I directly
something
believe
happened
there's-
somewhere.
Yes, I agree.
And that being said, me and Gary had to talk about it. In my heart, I honestly believe that the CEP is being addressed by the homeowner.
Mhm.
I know them personally,
Yeah, I do.
and I don't see a financial hardship on the bottled water where I think that they're maybe drinking out of the faucet because that's all they have. I'm not saying it's right, it's not, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying, I do believe the CEP is being addressed by the residents themselves. So,
Well, they had that lead detections here and stuff, so they're not taking any chances.
right. You know, but if, you know, it's who it is, not what it is.
Right.
But in that particular case, you know, it's, we've tried, how many times have I asked? 5, 6,
4 or 5, 6 maybe now,
several?
several.
Yeah, I've been copied on those too.
And she said,
No,
I know
we
this
were not
is,
gonna be
I know
bought.
this is coming from you, boss Matt.
Yeah.
And from, she said, but I respectfully have to deny.
We even got it to happen one time
Yep.
for a 3-month period or something.
I think that, I don't know, they must have a momentary lapse of judgment, but they won't. They won't do it.
So,
Excuse me.
I'm also, I'm hoping that with the latest information of the landfill closing and what's been going on, I'm hoping that doesn't jeopardize the voluntary water program.
Which we talked about today, which would end December 31st, I believe. So,
Well, I think before that time, what we do is we send something off to, go to Mary June Bixby and just say, based on the probability that these folks are not gonna have water for 6 months to 12 months, we think you should respectfully request continued bottled water for all the residents they're getting until they get that. So kind of
Yeah.
putting something in front of.
Yeah, I don't wanna wait till
so it
last
comes
minute
from-
either.
Yeah, that's right, that's why I'm bringing it up now.
The problem with that is that me and Gary have gone through this with Kevin Dowse.
Yeah,
It's not the law.
it's not the
It's not
law.
required.
It's not required.
voluntary, is what
Voluntary.
we're talking about. They are
Correct.
complying with the mandatory.
So what our take from the Board of Health is, we understand that. However, it is a potential hazard. And then we had data to back it up and saying, we had it on this one, and this one. Then they came back hot. Thank God they were on the voluntary water
Right,
program to
exactly.
reinforce that the
Correct.
program
Yeah.
really should be a mandatory program. Now we may have 2 more. What was it,
Right.
15 Eleanor and then the other one?
15 is definite.
15 has, 15 is confirmed.
So, was 15 on the voluntary water program?
No, it was empty.
There was a vacant house.
Yeah, it was
Or
vacant.
would they have been in the zone?
They're in the
for it?
zone.
They're in the zone.
The
And then-
issue is 150 Berry Corners. There was an agreement of a box zone that was eligible for voluntary bottled water. And it was Eleanor Lane, H-Foot Road from, don't quote me on this, 50 to 100. And that was the zone. They drew a box around it and said, anybody in here that isn't on bottled water mandatory and wants it, Matt asked them. And there was 30 people in the audience, and came up and signed up. And Jim said, we got all those people that were in that box that wanted it to get it, and there were some that didn't. The problem is, the box didn't include the whole area of the study. And people, other than us, determined what that box was. So they are now holding to their guns to that box.
The other deal that was critical on the voluntary water was wasn't offered. You had to request it.
Yes.
If you wanted it, you had to ask this board and this board asked. And we did that specifically, not so it was a blanket across and just give everybody water. It was, these people want this, it's in their heart, they're afraid of what the water is, and they have specifically taken their time to ask us for it, and we're asking. And that was a big part of it. We weren't just trying to give away water
No,
for free.
it was select. But, yeah, I'll get that letter up.
I think we should send a letter to Mary Jude. I think we should make a vote on it. And then have Jim send it to Mary Jude saying that this board has some concerns about the odor response logs and the credibility to the third party that's doing them. They contradict our own health inspectors
Direct
in the field.
observations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the field, direct observations.
right.
Make a motion.
Let me write that
That's
down.
exactly what you said.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Got that, Jim?
Then benchmark.
The notice of non-compliance by July 21st, they were supposed to have a plan to immediately take action on what they were gonna do to reduce the odors. By August 7th, they were supposed to have a plan to reduce and prevent all gas emissions, what their plan was gonna be. And then by October 7th, they have to have a plan for the final cover.
All right, so Gary, I guess our question is, can
We can ask for the update.
we ask for the plan?
The two first documents should be at DEP.
Yeah, should
We don't have, they never sent them to us.
Yeah.
No.
We're not, Jim and I talked about that, it doesn't, I don't believe the Board of Health is required to be noticed on that.
Okay,
We should just ask, it's public information, we'll just ask for it.
I'll call Jim.
That should come from you.
Yeah, I'll call Jim.
Sorry. I don't mean to
No,
remind you,
no.
but It should come
I have
from,
no
it should
problem
come
calling
from,
anyone.
it should come from the board.
and then what was the last one, October 21, what'd you say?
No, October 7th?
They should have all the plans except final cover,
On, well, what's final cover?
to permanently cap
No, the date, October,
October 7th.
Seven.
90 days from July 7th, which was the date of the issue.
so that's
Or no,
That's a
taken,
plan, yeah, that's a plan to clearly identify how you're gonna cap it, the first two documents,
Right.
not as DEP.
I have a question. The capping of that section of landfill, will that help some of the odor and some of the trash that's blown towards the residents up
Yes.
there on
Yes.
Gainesville and
Yes.
Berry Court?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So
so
I
that
don't
will
think it
help.
would hurt.
I've talked to Jim McQuaid about that.
Okay.
Hopefully, he hopes that gets done soon because that is gonna help somewhat. Because it's right on our side too.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing, before I forget, I've been copied on some emails from Melissa with some water delivery issues that she's had. I think they were both since our last meeting, or I may have gotten this wrong. But it seems like in the last 2 months, and they delivered each month, correct?
Yes.
They were delinquent and short on the deliveries on both, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's of concern too. And I don't know if this is happening with other folks. I'm glad that you emailed the board, certainly. That's good. I don't know how to remedy that
Tracy,
situation, but
Tracy apologized, she told them to turn the truck back around, but
yeah,
I don't know if it's a thing with Poland Springs not stocking the truck with enough water, doesn't realize they didn't put enough on the truck, but they were told, this is a big contract for them. I mean, I get Poland Springs myself. Every month we order 4, and they bring 2. And if you look at the order, it's like, he goes, well, I don't have enough on the truck, I can only give you 2. I'm like, listen, buddy, look, 4, and he still delivers 2. So you have to be, so that I can understand that, but Poland Springs is ridiculous. They'll say, well, you got 2 here, I'll bring 2 next Thursday. It's like, no, I want it now. I don't want to wait, you come to my house, you know, like, you have to
Not when we
inconvenience you.
rely on that.
And you're gonna rely on that and worry about not being home. I mean, I don't know if he throws it on the porch for you or,
Yeah, they do, they do.
yeah, and you're gonna carry all those, schlep all those things in there, you know?
twice.
so I've been following that as well. And I do believe that it's a Poland Springs issue, and I don't think Casella really, I think if it was up to Casella, you'd get the full amount.
Right.
However, is there anything this board can do to put some pressure on?
Well, I think
I don't
that's what
think we
Tracy,
can make them do it.
no, we can't, but Tracy has said that she had read them the riot act, because I talked to her. I mean, she said that I told them why. And again, she said they don't stock the truck with enough, they don't read all the orders, and then by the time you're at the end of the line, he realizes that he only has 4 left, and you're supposed to get 8, and he has nothing to give to you. And they said, well, we'll come back, we'll give you at least 4, but that's aggravates people. And Tracy herself said, I don't want them to short anyone,
Right.
but, you know, I'd rather have Poland Springs water than send over Acme water or whatever, you know, where it's coming from, you know? But they do, they're famous for not bringing it up.
Yeah, I know. Okay, anything else on H4 Road? Gary, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, just real quick, I talked to Jim today. He told me I already called him and then I didn't know it was coming tonight, so I didn't do a detailed review.
It's okay.
But I do share the same concern. I've been looking at the data and, you know, the 1,4-dioxin concentrations do appear to be creeping up. I don't have a detailed tally of everything, but, you know, just the data that came in last month, you know, just real quick for you guys. 149 Berry Corners, a new detection at 0.157, so just above the detection, the metric limit. But 70 is over 0.3. It's 0.308. 85 has been sampled twice. It's been 0.27 and 0.37. 58 was at 0.2, and then that's when they had the mid detection. I will give them credit. It seems like they're changing the carbons out real quick because they were back there a week later and changed it. You know, but it was at 0.27 again. 75 is at 0.3, 65 is at 1.29. That's over 4 times the standard. So 65 has always been.
That's always been the,
But I don't think it's been that high. John, you may know.
What was it?
1.29.
I think it's been higher than that once before.
Yeah, but it hasn't been there in a while, I don't
No,
think. It's been,
I don't
it's
think
usually
it's been
around
that high.
0.9 is the number I kind
Yeah.
of remember. So,
I'd have to look.
point being, it's certainly not going at, and you got 2 new detections, and in general, the concentrations appear to be increasing or I don't know if I want to use the word stable, but they don't appear to be decreasing. Not a lot going on with water table fluctuations. Everything's kind of stable and normal. When we had this issue last year, we were in a drought situation. There was a lot going on. I think Pine Pond had some legitimate arguments. DP had some legitimate arguments, kind of fighting back and forth about why these changes are. But nothing. We're normal. This is normal water level right now. This is normal rainfall and concentration. So I just think sheds light that it's really important that all the monthly testing be continued.
On the 2 newest detections on the 1.4, when will I see the results from the 500-foot addition? You said there's 2 more houses that will get it now?
Yeah. We received that email yesterday, so they're sampling.
I saw one, last week?
Yeah. They're just sampling this week, yeah. So you will see those results.
not this Friday, probably the following
Yeah.
Friday, if not the Friday after that.
DEP may, Kevin did send an email, I don't think he mandated expedited turnaround.
I didn't see expedited.
So you're gonna see standard.
So we're talking a month?
Yeah, so the 2 homes at 139 and 146 Berry Corner are new locations. You know, potential CEP homes, certainly not the CEP at this point, but, you know, the board, I don't think you can't tell Casella to provide them water, but if one of those residents came in and they would be approved to say, you might want to drink out of water, sure. I know.
And I think they've been notified, so I haven't heard from any of them.
Say if they have an issue with it, they're gonna come right to you.
Requested, but I would also advise them, so, drink bottled water until you find out for sure. That's a month, you know, that. And it is an inconvenience, I can't imagine just trying to worry about not just opening the faucet, taking for granted that they have good water, always thinking you have to get some, you know, water from another source. But, yeah, if they requested, I would request that temporarily, and I would ask Kevin. Kevin's pretty good at, Kevin Dow's pretty good at saying, okay, I agree. And they don't argue with him. He just tells them, okay, you will. He doesn't have to say you may, he says you will.
Yeah, but we couldn't get them to budge on that voluntary water program.
But this is, again, now you're back, voluntary water is outside that MCP. you're out here, so you have a lot of authority. Right now, if you said, or if he said, those homes are within 500 feet, sample them immediately and get the lab turned off the way, he can do that.
I agree he can request that, but can he get him on bottled water?
No, because he can get the lab turned off quickly.
Yeah.
So if you get the lab in 3 days, you don't need bottled water.
I get
Because
you.
you don't have
Right.
3 weeks. The lag time. I believe that time bomb will turn the state around very quickly.
I think it will.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see quick turnaround. I think those are gonna be 2-day turnarounds on those samples, and we're gonna get right back.
Good.
I do. Because
I'm thinking that right the following Friday, I think what happened.
I think you might even have it sooner than that. Again, because they're a new detection and they're a new home, you have to go as quick as you reasonably can.
John?
Do you have the addresses of those within 500 feet of 149 and 15?
Okay, so 149, my understanding, I think this is from Jeff Harps. 139, 146, and 148, 150, 151, and then 74, number 10 schoolhouse. And then the 2 new ones are 139 and 146.
Yep.
Very close.
Yeah, 39 and 46 are the new ones. Those
Yeah.
other ones are.
The other ones are already sampled monthly.
They have a list for the 15, Eleanor?
No, it says
They're all
that
being
they're
tested.
all already on the list.
Already on the list.
For monthly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I pulled up one of the old maps that shows it. This map is pretty accurate because this shows 13 Eleanor and 15 Eleanor is only 100 feet away. So,
You know what I'm very surprised at, that people buy such big, beautiful houses, and they really don't come in and do any homework, and they ask the questions after they've already purchased the home. It's kind of, you know,
That's why we put signs up.
I know.
But along those lines, weren't there a couple folks who moved in from out of state?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
did they
That company
drive up
actually
and down,
bought
or did they just like buy it
They
on the
bought on-
internet?